Wade and Wade reacts.
We got a request to react to a Kakarot197 video. This is all alternate universe Zaku clones. Let's get into it.
Mobile suit Gundam. The most popular machine is actually the MS-06 Zaku. Relegated to mostly cannon fodder once the Gundam hit the battlefield, the Zaku was in fact a revolutionary and fearsome weapon that gave Zeon the edge it needed to fight against the Federation. And it also just looks plain awesome, whether it's in its green colors or in one of the many Ace Pilot colors. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that Sunrise and Bandai wanted to keep using this iconic mobile suit design. And in this video, we'll be going over all of these Zaku clones from Gundam's alternate universes. G-Gundam might have been very different from the original Gundam, and the stars of the show might have been mobile fighters, but G-Gundam also had some normal mobile suits. Introducing Neo Japan's JMS-60 Bushi, a mass production mobile suit that formed the backbone of the Neo-Japanese army, together with the JMS-71 Nobushi. And if the exterior alone wasn't enough to convince you that the Bushi is a Zaku, it has MS-06 in its model number, albeit a little bit scrambled, and its armor material is listed as Zakurium alloy. Unfortunately for the Bushi though, it lacks something that most other Zaku clones do have. No Ace Pilot ever used this thing, and it was completely relegated to being a faceless grunt that got exploded as soon as a camera focused on it. Which is also what our next Zaku clone is famous for, the OZ-06MS Leo. The design might be quite different,
the MS-06 in this name
backstory
too.
is 99% Zaku. It was the first mass-production mobile suit of the After-Colony era, and it allowed the Earth Alliance to rise to complete dominance. Until the Gundams were created, which is when they started blowing up if you so much as looked at them in the wrong way. But despite their horrible reputation, their true power would be shown time and time again in the hands of Ace Pilots, which again is the true Zaku way. And also, just how many grunt mobile suits can claim that they shot down a Gundam?
Not many.
Nice shot, Lieutenant Zex. So much for him. That was far too easy.
Oh, and about that 1% of the backstory that isn't Zaku, the Leo is a mass production version of a high-performance prototype model, the Toggies, which is more of a gym thing than a Zaku thing. Next then, we get a more literal Zaku clone, because even the whole anime was created as a literal alternate universe of the Universal Century. What if Zeon decided that Operation British was their best plan ever, and what if the Federation decided to hold on to the bitter end? The answer is Fallout. And the Zaku clone is the RMS-006 Genis. The model number is an
That's a good looking one right there. I like that.
MS-06 model number, and the overall design also doesn't hide the fact that this thing is a tried and true Zaku. It was a Space Revolutionary Army's main mobile suit at the beginning of the war, and despite new designs becoming available, it would still keep up the good fight on the front lines. And then after the war, it would become a prized possession for many scavenger hunters in the anime known as vultures, who would customize their Genis to their liking. In turn A then, we get an interesting case, because you might think that the Zaku clone here is the most obvious. The MS-06 Bordernon is quite literally
Exactly
just
the same.
an excavated Zaku,
Exactly.
or at the very least, an excavated replica Zaku. So clearly, this thing is turn A's Zaku clone. But I would argue that it doesn't really fulfill the Zaku role in the series. Stylistically, we've got the sumo, but story-wise, I think it might actually be the walking dumpling, which is an adorable name for a mobile suit, by the way. A 7-meter tall petite mobile suit might not sound very intimidating when you're used to 18-meter tall behemoths, But considering the fact that in the anime, this thing was used to fight against people whose technology was equivalent to that of the Industrial Revolution, this thing must have been quite the threat. At least until the Gundam became active and the militia began fielding their own mobile
He's
suits.
tearing through them like it's
Which
nothing.
again is the fate of the Zaku in the original Gundam series. I
Bro
rest
should
my
have ejected
case.
when he had the time.
Next up, we have the Cosmic Era, where we get both one of the more original Zaku clones and one of the least original Zaku clones. Zaft's first mobile suit was the YMF-01B Proto-Jin, a machine that was based on a non-combat exoskeleton spacesuit, mirroring the Zaku's origin as a construction vehicle. Although the difference here is that the spacesuit was actually meant for non-combat, whereas the construction Zaku was a cover-up a la German Großtraktor and Neubaufahrzeug. This Proto-Jin was then further developed into the ZGMF-1017 Jin, and the rest is Zaku
I wonder what the fan
history.
is for on the back
The
of his
Jin
head.
allowed Zaft to completely blindside the Alliance, and more so than any other Zaku clone, these things were a menace. They might have been outclassed by the Gundams, and even later Zaft mobile suits, but I think someone forgot to tell them. They managed to kick ass until the very end of the First Bloody Valentine War, and even during the Second Bloody Valentine War, its variants were still kicking ass. And talking about the Second Bloody Valentine War, this is also when we get Zaft's other Zaku clone, the ZGMF-1000
definitely a
Zaku
Zaku clone.
Warrior, with Zaku standing for Zaft Armed Keeper of Unity. It would serve as Zaft's main mobile suit during the Second Bloody Valentine War, and it also had a dedicated commander version called the Zaku Phantom. They did have one unique feature that other Zaku clones didn't have, which was the ability to quickly change their backpack, allowing them to respond to a variety of different combat situations, which is a feature they stole from the Strike Gundam. I like their design a lot, but at the same time, I hate how unoriginal they are. Which is not a problem at all with Gundam 00's Zaku clone, the MSJ-062A Tyran. Quite the contrary actually, because I absolutely love what they did with this thing. In many series, the story begins at a time where the Zaku clone is due for a replacement, and while you could also say that the Tyran was outdated at the time of the Gundam 00 anime, this wasn't so much presented as a problem as much as it was a difference in doctrine. The Union wanted to go for newer cutting-edge mobile suits that really pushed the envelope, and the AU just kinda followed whatever the Union was doing, but the Human Reform League preferred sticking with its tried and true Tyran. It was an incredibly reliable machine that was loved by its pilots, and rather than
They got one
focusing
whooping a
on
Gundam?
agility, it went for armor and heavy weaponry. It was also super easy to maintain and mass produce, but unfortunately, this
Way too
didn't
slow.
save it from the Gundams, and later on, it also didn't save them from other GN-powered mobile suits. Like a true Zaku though,
just use them as
they
a long-range
did manage
support
to
unit.
shine in the hands
True.
of aces. But when used by grunts, they did drop like flies. Very heavy flies. From one of Gundam's most beloved series then, we go to one of the most hated series, Gundam Age, where we have a Zaku situation that is somewhat similar to Turn A Gundam. On the surface, we have the very Zaku-esque Zilla, Gala, Xeno, and Almeida, but what I think is the true Zaku of the series is the OVVF Gafren. When these machines first showed up, they absolutely dominated, even to the point that the Federation didn't score a single win against them. I wonder why.
Trash mobile suit.
But all of this changed once the
Had a
Gundam
heated
was
baton.
created,
Come on now.
and things really took a turn for the worse for the Gafren once the Gundam's technology made its way to mass production units.
Dang.
Suddenly, the Gafren was beatable, and it slowly became outdated and forgotten, just like the series that it appeared in. Also, there's this thing. But now for something completely different. Gundam Build Fighters. It's perhaps not quite a Zaku, but I definitely think that the Mach and its development, the High Mach, deserve a spot on this list. Designed as a combination of the Zaku, the Jim, and other mass production units, the Mach was the perfect blank slate for a custom model kit, and we really see this quality shown off in the anime. Unfortunately, like the Bushi that we talked about earlier, these cute little things were relegated to mostly being cannon fodder. Its upgraded form though, the High Mach, did have its moments.
That's crazy. It's like a combination of a Zaku. Oh, of course it's build fighters. You can build it however you want. But it has like the Gundam antennas on the head.
Very rotund Mach and High Mach, we go to the more sleek MSAM-034 Space
That's pretty cool
Johanum,
right there.
an upgraded version of the standard Johanum that was used by the American Army in Reconquista in G. In quick need of a powerful and space-worthy mobile suit, they decided to upgrade their Johanums into Space Johanums. And maybe it's just me, but it feels like this machine is what would happen if the Federation designed a Zaku-esque mobile suit.
I can see it.
Despite the clear Zaku overtones, it also reminds me of bulkier Federation machines like the Jesta Cannon.
It does.
And unlike the other Zaku clones on this list, the Space Johanum didn't just get an ace variant, it got a genius ace variant. In Iron-Blooded Orphans then, we once again get a more lean Zaku clone. And just like in Gundam Wing, we get a little bit of that Jim DNA peppered in there. It's very clear that the EB06 Grace is meant to represent the Zaku. Whether it's its hidden mono-eye, the green color scheme, the Zaku-esque weapons, or the 06 in its model number, but then, just like the Leo, it's a descendant from a high-performance machine rather than being its own thing. When we look at the story though, it again quickly becomes clear that this thing is a Zaku. The Grace was Gjallarhorn's main mobile suit that was once feared as a symbol of power, but at the time of the Iron-Blooded Orphans anime, it was showing its age, and was mostly relegated to being a punching bag, and this even went for some of the supposed ace variants. Still, thanks to various variants and upgrades, the Grace would remain relevant until the end of the series. And from one controversial series, we go to another controversial series, which from Mercury. The story here is quite different from that of your standard Gundam series, so it stands to reason that the role of the Zaku clone here is also quite different. And again, like in Turn A and Gundam Age, you could even make the argument for several mobile suits being the Zaku clone here. Some people like to think of the Grassley machines as the Zaku clones, but considering their introduction in the series as being used by an elite team to hunt down certain unwanted elements, I see those more as Jim Quell clones. So for me, the MD0031 Delonza is absolutely where it's at. Not only does it have the Zaku strong factor, but it also comes in standard and commander versions, and one of the antagonists has a lightish red custom unit.
It's pink. Your armor is freaking pink.
Yeah, that's it. Pink.
Pink? My armor's not pink. It's like a lightish red.
And that's all that we have for our alternate universe Zaku clones so far. Because of course, the next Gundam series not set in the Universal Century, or set in an alternate universe version of the Universal Century, will again have its own Zaku clone. So let me know down below what your favorite Zaku clone is, and if you think I missed any. Personally, growing up with Gundam Wing, I will always have a soft spot for the Leo. But the Jin is also a really cool reimagining, complete with a plethora of variants.
My favorite Zaku clone is either the one from Gundam Seed and then the one that he said from Iron-Blooded Orphans. Those two, to me, had the best designs because they were sleek. And you talked about the fin. You was asking, why did they have a fin? It's for aerodynamic purposes in space.
That's crazy. I liked a pretty good amount of the Zaku clones. I leaned more towards the ones that actually looked like Zaku's because, as you all know who have been watching our channel for a long time, the Zaku is our favorite mobile suit. So the ones that looked closest to the original Zaku's were definitely my favorite ones.
Yeah, and he's definitely not wrong about Gundam Age being the most hated series because we have never got a request to react to anything from Gundam Age. The Wish from Mercury too, but I think we got like one request to do something from there. I think it was just to look at the weapon because people were saying that's one of the most powerful weapons in Gundam.
Yeah, true. I've noticed that too. We have never gotten a request for Age. To hear that the reviews are not so good about the series, I understand.
And it might be because, I don't know, just based off the animation, it might be because it's like a kid approach to it. It might be a more lighthearted story when most of the time Gundam is not, there's nothing lighthearted about Gundam.
True, true. It's been a little while since we've reacted to a Kakarot197 video, so it's always good to get one of his videos in our lineup and learn a little bit more about the Gundam verse.
Yeah, like he said in the video, let us know down below which Gundam versions, or not Gundam versions, but series from the Gundam franchise, which Zaku clone do you like the best?
That does it for our reaction to this subscriber request. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Also like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video from Wade and Wade Reacts.
And we're out of here.
Peace.